The Formula Drift Championship is now through 5 of 8 rounds, and as the series heads across the country to the Pacific Northwest and Evergreen Speedway, the heat is on for the championship. Osbo has surged by doing what he can and taking wins away from James Dean. But Dean's consistency has yet again resulted in Osbo unable to overtake him on the overall leaderboard. Other contenders are still in the hunt, but they need to act fast and hope that Dean falters. So let's go behind the scenes as we go inside the biggest drifting series in the world, only on Formula Drift Insider. Formula Drift's previous round took us to Montreal, Canada, St. Eustache to be exact, for the 5th round of the Formula Drift Championship. A lot of history has been created for Formula Drift, but this is the newest venue in the championship. And this venue delivers on all fronts, for the fans as well as it's quickly become one of the drivers' favorites.
Canada was a crazy event for us. It just, Thursday practice was okay, went into Friday practice in the rain, changed some settings on the car, and somehow we hurt the engine. So we had to pull the engine right after qualifying and change it for the next day. When we were pulling the engine, we noticed there was a big crack in the bell housing. We tried to weld it up, maybe lasted one run, started cracking again, got worse. And we ran Nate Hamilton, had a decent follow run behind him, but on my lead run, the vibration in the car was just so bad, it was really hard to get the car going. Just didn't initiate quick enough and tapped the wall a little bit. Lost a tire, still finished the run, but Nate moved on. So getting knocked out in the top 32 in Canada really hurt us for points for the championship, and got knocked down from 2nd to 4th place.
Yeah, last event was probably one of my favorites so far this year. Went in there not knowing what to expect, being another new track, but we got comfortable pretty quick. The first bank, the first corner was really tricky to nail down, and you had to have a lot of respect for it because it claimed so many cars that weekend, but luckily we got away unscathed.
That wall will come out and just grab you just like the one in Jersey will. So it caught me second qualifying lap. I went in pretty hard. The boys at Nameless Performance had a long night putting the car back together. But they did it, and we were ready to go for morning practice, and then ready for top 16 or top 32. We had a bye run because we qualified 6th, and then I heard the track was gripping up, so I went into my first lead lap against Gucci, a little too hot, and I saw the wall coming up really quickly, so I turned in, and it just wasn't enough to overcome it, and the wall scooped me up, and Gucci was super close to me and got him even worse than my car, so it was pretty unfortunate, and especially my teammate, man, it sucks when that happens. So I've had better events, but we still came out with the top 16 finish, so it could have been worse.
In tandem, we actually went all the way to the top 4 battle, faced Frederick Osbo, and it was an intense battle. One of my favorites of the year for sure. I led the best lead run I could do, but he was there with me the whole way through, so man, I knew I had to do something special if I was going to take him out. So my spotter Michael came on the radio. He said, "James, you gotta pull something out of the bag here." And I just went as hard as possible on the first corner, chased him super close. Was really close all the way through. He led a great lead run. We transitioned back, stayed in the right place, very close as well, and I transitioned back again. But I stayed on the throttle a little bit longer than I've been doing all weekend because I guess I was very hungry. So
James was on me from the get-go. I could feel him, I could see him, I could hear him. He was right there on my tail up until the 2nd turn. He came in a little too hot, washed out. That was all she wrote. He lost maybe 6 car lengths. We took the win against James and moved into the final.
I knew I was beat before I even finished the run, but I was smiling. I really enjoyed battling Frederick and pushing that hard. I think the two of us really pushed really hard during that battle, and yeah, it was a good way to go out. Pushing 110%, giving it your everything, and win or lose, no matter what, you tried your best. So for me, it was really good.
We did pretty well. Not we almost won the round, but due to the technical failure of transmission, so we stayed second. Lead run was perfect, and yeah, and the transmission just failure put us on zero, and then my chase run, so I just tried to do my best, maybe a little bit overshoot, was going on 110%, and once Frederick left the trowel, I was next to his door and I hit him, so that's what I said to him after mess up in Long Beach. The next time we battle, once you lift it, I'm gonna be on your door, so I said it, I did it.
All the way from initiation, I could literally feel it. He was nudging me not once, not twice, but 3 times through the first turn. Started bracing myself. I knew it was coming. And boom, hits me pretty hard going into turn 2, wipes me off track, continues, stops, walks over, and said sorry. So very, very humble approach by Kristaps following that crash. And it's not really how we want to win. I want to take him down fair and square with no hiccups, but it's just hard to get it. I really didn't think the season was going to pan out as good as it has. We're debuting a new car. There's a lot of heavy competitors right now. It's so tough being out there trying to beat these guys, but here we are sitting second with 3 rounds to go. It's a big testament to the team. It's a big testament to the experience we've now garnered with these cars, and being able to take a brand new chassis, make it work like that. It's no small feat, but then again, anything can happen. We can still end up far down the top 10 because all these guys are on fire. They're gunning for us, but we'll do our best to stay where we are.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Black Magic. Own your shine. By Blackview Dash Cameras. And by Hankook Tire, driving emotion.
5 rounds are in the books, and here we are, the Pacific Northwest, for the 6th round of the championship. It's smiles all around, but in mere moments, it's go time here at Evergreen Speedway.
Evergreen Speedway is one of my favorite tracks. It's where I got my first podium back in 2011. We've had success here. We've won here a couple years back. We've also had some hardships here, and last year I lost out in top 8 against Odi Bakchis. He was on fire. And it's not an easy track.
We got to the track yesterday evening, my first time ever seeing this track, and for the first time, this track looked as big as it does in videos. So usually we come to a new track, and from what we see in videos, we notice that the track looks a little bit smaller. But here, this track is huge.
It's a really good tandem track, but it's also really difficult because you can make one little mistake and then you have a massive gap, and it's really hard to catch up because the oval bank is so fast and it's so long that if you don't enter with a guy and he gaps you already and you make a little bobble mistake and you end up lifting a tiny bit, that guy is gone.
It's a very technical track that has it all. Big, high-speed bank, you have the hard braking into turn 2, 1 downshift there, then you have the super technical last couple of turns with another downshift. It's very hard to get that rhythm right, but when you do get it right, you'll put down stellar runs.
It's just the level of driving. We're gripping these cars up as much as we possibly can, and every event our cars get faster and harder to drive. So it's yeah, it's just an all-out battle out there.
Yeah, somehow we're still leading the championship. 3 rounds to go. Az was right there behind me, and he seems to be closing that gap. So it's tough. I've said it from, the start of the season. I thought that Frederick Hasbro is the man to beat. He's like a machine. Nothing seems to, nothing phases him, and yeah, he has the experience at all these tracks, and he has a great team, great car, and he's definitely the one to watch.
When it comes to James Dean and his preparations, I'm super impressed. And I've been following James in Europe for almost 10 years. He's been killing it. He now has the experience that is taking him to the top of the charts here in the States. And it's not just James alone, it's his spotter, Michael. It's his family back home supporting. It's Vietsek and his whole setup supporting James. It's a whole big operation. But being the center of that hub, being the guy that makes it happen, that is all James.
At this point, being almost 100 points away from James Dean, I think that what I have to do is just get lucky in the draw and go against him early on, maybe in top 32 or top 16 at one of these next events, and hopefully beat him, because I need to get him knocked out and I need to move forward to make up the points. So unless he has, you know, a couple really bad events, it's gonna be really hard to catch him.
For me, it's do or die at this point. You know, I'm pretty far back in points. I think about 120 behind James Dean. So he would have to have a major mistake and I would have to triumph here or the next one or whatever, you know, the case is. It's just going to be tough from here on out. So just do what I always try to do, which is focus on just driving the best I possibly can, taking each battle, you know, one at a time, and hopefully we land on the podium.
It's not like we are in the third position after 2 rounds or after 1 round. So we are after 5 rounds and we are still feeling good in round 6 here in Monroe, and means we belong to the top guys, and that's why we're here. So we came here to get better, to grow, and to be in the top.
I think it's everyone's dream to win an FD championship. Even previous champions, you know, they're all still here and they're all taking it just as serious, and it's a serious deal. You know, it's one of the biggest things in drifting worldwide is to win an FD championship, and it's a serious task of not just the driver but the whole team, a good car. It's a whole package, so it's definitely going to be one of my lifetime goals so far. Let's see what happens.
Every round has a driver's meeting where the drivers can deliberate with the judges, finding out the right scenario in order to get the highest score or in order to get the victory. Next stop, top 32. Dan Burkett, aka Rad Dan, versus the only rotary competition, Kyle Mohan. Dan Burkett moves on. Pat Gooden unfortunately breaks, and Alex Hilbrun advances on.
Just had our top 32 battle with Peter. Unfortunately, it didn't go according to plan, and we got beaten in top 32. Then we found out that we picked up a puncher along the way.
I just made a mistake. Pushed a little too hard behind Di. I knew that I had to really throw down, and I kind of lost out a little bit around the bank. So coming into zone 2, I over-rotated, and our weekend was over.
Medford, Oregon's own Matt Kaufman takes down Formula Drift veteran Ravi Nishida. He finds himself in the top 16. Justin Pollock versus Nate Hamilton. Little Tex makes a mistake.
Long story short, leaving the bank, I think I just actually lost power steering, and my front end got really, really tight in a really tough section where you're downshifting and really loading the car up. And yeah, the front end just pushed out on me, and right in front of the grandstands, I found a nice wall.
Apparently he got into the wall and tapped me a little bit, but I continued the rest of the run just to put on a show for the fans, and we're moving on to top 16.
I faced Alec Honadell in top 32, and boy, what a battle. He was right there on my door from start almost to finish. He spun in turn 2, giving us a big advantage headed into the second round.
He put a very amazing lead run. I just follow him wherever he goes as much as I can, and actually worked out pretty well. And my lead, I just put myself, all right, I just need to do a qualified lap as best as I can, just close to the wall, don't even think about going down. I'm pretty happy with this win.
It's always a disappointment getting knocked down in top 32, but I don't want to call it a wash yet, but you know, we wanted to stir up the championship points a little bit, so we'll work on that in Texas.
Chelsea Denofa bangs his way into the top 16, as well as the top 6 qualifiers. James Dean, Ryan Turk, Odie Bakshis, Michael Essa, Christos Blush, and Vaughn Gittin Jr. Next action they'll see is in the top 16.
Qualifying high in third, so I got a bye run into top 16, so enjoying that moment.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Nexen Tire, Driving Tomorrow, by Gum Out, by Air Force, Aim High, and by Universal Technical Institute, chosen by industry, ready to work.
The top 16, opening ceremonies, national anthem, and even a flyover here at Evergreen Speedway. It's your time to shine outside of the car, because next stop, it's suited, booted, and go time, as fans are watching all across the globe.
That was our first tandem battle with Rad Dan, and unfortunately, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he touched the wall behind me when I was leading, so we never really got a chance to have a real battle, but really proud of Dan. He's been driving really good this weekend, and I just hate to see him going out like that.
Polish driver and Formula Drift rookie Peter Vincik takes out Inca Madness Racing driver Alex Hilbrun.
Yes, I'm in top 8 against James. I'm very happy today already, but now I have to stay focused for the battle with my teammate.
So we ran Dye in top 16. First run, I had a good lead run. He was following me pretty well, a little bit off. When I went to follow him, he was a little faster than I expected. I didn't really close the gap till near the end of the bank. And then he tapped the wall, and at that point we both made some corrections. I'm correcting following him. So we went one more time.
And then in the end, I think my run was pretty clean. You know, I got a really good follow, and lead run was really clean as well. So that put me on to top 8.
Ryan Turk versus Justin Pollock. Ryan Turk threw down a strong run up until the power alley, overshooting the front clip on his lead run. Justin Pollock was right there in tow and even tighter than Ryan Turk. On the second run, contact was made.
I almost like stalled it out, I don't know. And then I just tried to like continue on because the wheels were still moving. So I don't know, they deemed him at his fault. I think he just came in too hot through the smoke. Sometimes you get lost through there, and we're moving on.
Well, the judges didn't call it the way they should have, I felt like. It was, I guess it was tough to see. Pollock was outside of the deceleration zone, and he like stalled the car up. Looked like he was almost spinning out, and he had to kind of clutch in to save it before he got back on the gas, and my momentum was already carrying in. Ended up hitting him, and that was it for me. I spun out.
The bank was a complete disaster. I was like T-boning him all the time, so. And coming in infield, I was downshifting, and again, some sort of misshift or I don't know, mess up again. So that spot was something went wrong there, obviously, and that's obviously a 0.
So Castro came in too hot, hit my tire, knocked the steering wheel out of my hands, and bent the lower control arm. And he just came in too hot. The guys got to fix the car. Good as new within 10 minutes, went back out there, put down a good chase run on Jonathan, and that sealed the deal.
I knew Cameron was close, and apparently he was really close. He ended up, I think, going a little too aggressive and took himself out.
So in top 16, we had my teammate, Von Gittin Jr., and it was an insane battle. It was pretty much the hardest I've driven ever.
My lead run was just pretty flawless. I knew it was right there the whole time. I mean, we're running pretty much exactly same setups, and of course the same Mustang RTRs. And chase run, I was all over him, exactly where I need to be. I still haven't seen the video, so I don't really know what happened, because I know I couldn't have done much more, so I want to see what he did. But at the end of the day, I'm super proud of him, and he better go on and win this thing. That was amazing.
That was so ridiculous.
Congratulations. Good job.
Holy.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Black Magic. Own your shine. By NOS with Complex 6 for high performance energy. By Nitto Tire, fueled by enthusiasts. And by Blackview Dash Cameras.
Seattle, Washington, home of Bruce Lee, Jimi Hendrix, a beautiful waterfront, and now Formula Drift. Top 16 is over, and now it's grade 8. Teammates do battle, Peter Vincik and James Dean.
Man, when it was my turn to chase, I knew I had to give it everything, and he led us awesome lead run, and I just trusted him. We were with each other all the way through, and that was definitely my favorite battle of the year so far.
JTP is one of those guys that drives with tons of angle, and I knew that this one would be a tough one. I tried to match him, but I almost stalled out behind him in turn 2, and coming into turn 3, I smashed his tail after his car broke down. We took the win, we're into top 4, here we go.
I actually mistakenly hit the rear bumper when I initiate, but I just kept going, and it just worked out, and I think I made a pretty decent amount of gap, so that made me move on to semi-final.
He had a little bit of a gap on me on the straightaway, so I closed it on the bank towards the end, dove in, got as close as I could before the transition, went out to outer zone number 2, and picked up the throttle right when he did, but our car lurched forward a little bit too much.
Attacked me pretty hard, actually threw off the rear suspension. So we shut down, it was a big hit. Got everything fixed, went out, chased Chelsea pretty well, and just kind of felt out my car after the damage, and we ended up advancing.
Yeah! That's a podium!
Intense battle with Di. So judges went one more time. On one more time I did a good lead run again, and while chasing, pushed hard. It wasn't perfect, there was some small corrections, but I think my proximity overall won the battle. So
Went against Odie Bakchis, last year's winner here in Seattle, and I knew that battle was going to be tough. He had a crazy fast initiation. I wasn't quite able to hang with him on the first run, but in the very last turn, he spins out, giving us a huge advantage going into the second run.
Osbo's got some luck with him that trails him when I battle him. You know, it's always tough to crack Osbo, and happy overall how it came out.
Incredible battle with James Dean, and I know that when he's on the line against me, I can't hold back. Gave it everything I had, not once, not twice, but 4 runs in total as we got it one more time.
On the first run I touched the wall a little bit, and I had a small correction because of it. So on the second lead run, I just stayed off the wall that little bit more, and the run was a lot smoother in the lead position. But Frederick was with me the whole way through, so I knew I had to give it everything. He was a little bit faster than me on the beginning of the bank, but I started to reel him in throughout the bank. Was really close to him coming off the bank and going through the center section as well. So somehow the judges went with us, but in my opinion, it was anyone's.
Only 2 rounds left. Who's going to win the championship? In association with Formula Drift, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.